Blessed to be with you on this Barr Report Day, the Mueller Report Day. Ooh. Can you feel the energy, the enthusiasm? By the way, you'll hear that press conference with us, KIDO Talk Radio, on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. So if you're listening to it on the radio, this is the station that, again, is committed to giving you the truth, giving you the real news, not parroting the fake news and hearing what you have to say. So that is coming up. With us now with insight, analysis, and commentary, perhaps award-winning commentary, is David Bozell of ForAmerica.org. Good morning, sir. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
We're going to drop the word perhaps.
Really?
And just go right into the award-winning commentary. Just award-winning.
Well, we anxiously await the commentary that is not alleged, but confirmed to be award-winning.
And not fake news.
We tell the truth here. I don't know how many other people can say that. David Bozell, your initial thoughts. First, Robert Wagner, Bobby Wagner, or Bobby Mueller was the greatest guy ever. Then he's not. Barr was a great guy. Now he's not. The libs keep moving the goalpost.
That's right. Sessions was a terrible guy. Now, they want him back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's round and round it goes. I actually kind of think this the report's going to be a little bit of a dud. The hype machine is obviously in full effect. This is Washington, being Washington, very full of itself. Whole lots of self-importance. Look how we spent your $30 million, Joe taxpayer. I suspect there's going to be some salacious stuff about Manafort, who was not a altogether great guy, before he came onto the campaign, and a lot of people on the right questioned his involvement from the get-go because he had such a terrible reputation. But he's paying his price right now. So I suspect there's probably going to be some meat on that bone that gets revealed, and maybe perhaps some other notorious figures that were kind of on the fringes of the operation. But I never suspected that the core group that were involved in the Trump apparatus in the early days of the campaign or the late days of the campaign had anything to do with Russian meddling and those types of things. You'll probably see some more details about, what some of these Russians did, on Facebook and those types of things. But really, when you're talking about a $120,000 ad buy, which I think that's been reported, you're talking about dropping a sand pebble into a vast ocean. I mean, it just does not have the intended effect that a lot of the liberals want to think that it does. So I actually kind of think it's going to be a dud. A lot of hype, and I think a lot of liberals, they're going to try to spin it, but in their heart of hearts, they're going to be disappointed.
David Bozell joining us, Kevin Middle in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Here's a good one for you. Is the press evil?
Oh gosh, some of them are. Most of them are just flat out biased. And then of course some of those admit that, and most of them don't. So, they just come from this New York, Hollywood, Washington bubble, and they don't know any better, and they don't want to know any better. And it's they're just drinking from the same water coolers. Now, there's a guy, you look at a guy like Acosta, you hesitate to call him evil, but boy, oh boy, is he self-involved.
Well, he might be too incompetent to be evil. Here's my point. My point being, I'm watching poor old Rick Santorum, who at one time was the vanguard of conservatism in America today, until somebody said, Rick, you have to be nice and be a pushover. So he's got his gig at CNN. He's on with Aaron Burnett last night, and he's talking about real-life legitimate concerns about spying. Burnett flips out hysterically, starts attacking and saying, Well, it went through the courts, parroting a talking point that Rahm Emanuel had during his appearance on This Week, by the way, proving Kevin Miller has no life. However, David Bozell, and just because it went to the courts does not mean the evidence presented was accurate or it wasn't flawed, which is what poor Rick Santorum was trying to say, but there was no conversation. It was attack, and she was just screeching at him. And, you know, in the past, we've kind of been diplomatic, but to me, I think that's just evil with this one-sided attack. Your thoughts?
Well, the obvious first thought is it's not a very cool way to treat your guest. That is the gig that Rick is signing up for. I mean, this is, he's a paid contributor. He's got to fight fire with fire. Rick's point was absolutely correct. Yes, we know that it went through the courts. Duh. How did it get there? What was presented, as you said? Those are the key questions going forward. But you can just tell, Kevin, that so much of cable television news is grasping at some of these last straws when it comes to the Russian collusion narrative. And they're just going to hold on to it for dear life. And they're prepared and much like the social media networks, Facebook, Twitter, they are prepared to forego their business models in order to take Trump down. And they're loaded for bear. So it really, facts be damned, truth be damned. This is double barrel time. But Rick's, look, he's a senator. He's a big boy. We all know him. He can handle his own, but he should, at some point, conservatives, you're going to be going on these networks. I understand if you're being paid to is one thing, but there's just no reason to tolerate being screamed at when you're being asked for your own opinion.
Exactly. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to the phones, and we're going to share the magic of David Bozell with our friend Pete from Mountain Home on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning, Kevin. I am truly enjoying listening to Congressman Nugler and the rest of the Democrats be outraged. The Attorney General Barr is giving a press conference before they get a chance to read the Mueller report, because he can spin it. Well, that's why they want to get it first, so they can get out in front and spin it first. It's like, hello. It just, this is, I don't know. It's like watching the clown car at the circus, and they all come boiling out. The hypocrisy, the faux outrage, it is so much fun watching them. I mean, here they spent, like we've said, they've spent 2 years investing everything they have in this Russian collusion by Trump business, and now it's all blowing up in their face, and they're just running around screaming like a bunch of, chickens with a fox in the hen house or something.
David Bozell, your thoughts on our great friend Pete from Mountain Home. By the way, Pete, I think David Bozell he's angry too and frustrated. He's like our Jerry Nadler here.
Oh man. Oh boy. Well, I mean, don't put me in front of Candace then, because that just, man. Look, Barr has an obligation here. The taxpayer, put up tens of millions of dollars for this thing. Mueller, can't be holding press conferences as the special counsel. That would be all sorts of conflict of interest. This thing has resided within the Department of Justice. Bill Barr is the top dog there, top cop in Department of Justice. This is upwards of a $30 to $35 million investigation. Yes, forget what the press, forget what the Democrats think and feel about and say about the timing of a press conference. Forget all that. The top cop at the Department of Justice he recognizes that he owes the American people an explanation as to what it is that he's releasing. So it's perfectly within his right. It's perfectly within precedent. I mean, Ken Starr did the same type of thing. So, look, this is just, again, you can just see the left, again, like I said, they're just grasping at these last straws here. And they like they like these guys one day and they don't like them the next. And back and forth it goes. So they've lost a lot of credibility over this whole process. Beyond the Manafort convictions, there's really not much to warrant any of this. So this is where they're going to struggle going forward. Without a collusion narrative, they're going to be struggling, going forward in 2020. Like, what do you hit them on?
Sure.
And what do you hit the president on?
Pete?
And he's going to be Teflon in that respect.
Pete, anything else?
No, that was it. I am having more fun watching them scurry around, and they don't know what to do, and it's absolutely hysterical. It's like the sending the illegals to the sanctuary cities. It is so much fun to poke sticks in these people and watch them jump up and down and scream.
Well, Pete, they've been triggered.
They've been triggered. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been
really
triggered.
have.
And nobody gave them a trigger warning. They thought they were going to win.
Exactly right.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the election. I mean, they had it won, right? It was, Hillary was in. That was all she wrote. And then the nasty, we do know Donald Trump stole the election because he cheated. He used the Electoral College.
I love the Russia. If you're listening, Pete, thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio, brother. All right, Pete, thank you. Dave Bozell, this is my favorite clip of Donald Trump all time, rivaling Russia. If you're listening, release the emails, but I have to get your thoughts on this here on KIDO Talk Radio.
We could fix that in so fast if the Democrats would agree. But if they don't agree, we might as well do what they always say they want. We'll bring the illegal, really you call them the illegals. I call them the illegals. They came across the border illegally. We'll bring them to sanctuary city areas. And
okay, the fact that he goes, the illegals. Well, I call them the illegals. He has this stream of consciousness there, and they're illegal. And in the politically correct world where, no, you have to call them this, this, and this, here you have Donald Trump, Big Don, going, the illegals.
Well, it's just like how everyone got offended. God forbid that the California Police Department would embed the American flag in the word police on the side of their car. I mean, you just can't speak normal. You can't speak English language normally anymore. I mean, you can't call it illegal. You can't drape the American flag on a police car. It's just preposterous. It's a terrific idea. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if it has legal merit.
Well, hold on here. Let me interrupt you for a second here on KIDO Talk Radio. David Bozell joining us for America, foramerica.org. Michael Cohen now says that he's offering to fill in the blanks on the Mueller report.
Oh, well, hey, we've been all waiting for that. I've just been waiting with bated breath for Michael Cohen.
Right.
Is that going to be Michael Cohen or Ben Stiller? Which version of that? Stiller's been doing the Saturday Night Live spoof of him. I'd rather be Ben Stiller, actually. Now, if Ben Stiller were to fill in the gaps, that might be worth watching. Obviously, first off, if you really want to, for your audience, to kind of get up to speed as to the gravity of the crisis going down at the southern border, if you're on the Twitters, those types of things, the Custom and Border Patrol accounts and some of their subsidiary accounts, CBP Arizona, CBP Yuma, those types of things. It is the footage that these guys are acquiring of not just like a couple people crossing the border overnight, but in the dozens, in the hundreds. 1,000 people tried to cross into Yuma just a couple of days ago.
All right, David Bozell.
3 different spots.
What are the Twitter handles there? I'll look those up.
It's the CBP accounts, Customs and Border Patrol, and then if you search on Twitter, they've got different subsidiary, smaller accounts, state accounts, and
sure.
little town accounts and stuff like that. So they're just trying to educate the country. Like, look, we don't have the resources to deal with all of these people, coming over. And you see the footage of it almost in real time within a day. So it's important to get that stuff out there because the press, as evidenced by today, is just going to be obsessed with this Russia stuff.
Well,
and they're not going to want to put a spotlight on what's going on down there.
By the way, we're obsessed with you in a heterosexually appropriate way. We have to run, but David Bozell, we always appreciate you at foramerica.org, a true patriot, a true friend, brother.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Anytime, buddy.
Thank you. Our great friend David Bozell. The Mueller Report coming up next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Waking up on the right side, Treasure Valley. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM. 5:80 a.m., the Mueller Report, the press conference. We will have it for you right here, taking your calls. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. The libs won't tell the truth, but we will again and again and again. And the libs are already mad, even though they don't have access to the Mueller Report, which is it's just crazy. But what do you expect from those wacky, zany libs? By the way, do you remember this young lady? She was our old first lady.
We're a teenager, and sometimes you spend weekends with divorced dad, and that feels like it's fun, but then you get sick. That's what America's going through. We're kind of living with divorced dad right now.
Well, divorced dad's economy is a lot better than your husband's was, especially for the military. Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave. And back to your phone calls. We go to Patriot Ray. Patriot Ray, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Well, it is a good morning. It's beautiful. The sun's out. It's clear. It's beautiful today. You want to talk about real collusion? Listen to any of the ABC alphabet news channels, and they all say the exact same thing. There is no real true journalism anymore. It's all, hey, we're told what to say, so we're all going to say the same thing. Everybody get on the same page. Trump is horrible. Everybody else is great. Oh, Obama's wonderful. But Trump, he really stinks because he's trying to put kids in cages. And it's crazy. It's just it's insane. So we look at what's going on today, and we look at Pelosi and Schumer and Obama and Hillary. You talk about collusion, they're all right in the middle of it. And they just don't know when to stop. And they keep pushing forward. So we just look at them and we laugh, but we're also a little bit apprehensive because the ill-informed or non-informed who just listen to their side won't go out and search anything out for themselves, won't look for truth. And if truth is told to them, all they know how to do is scream and holler and jump up and down and can't have a coherent conversation. So we're winning the battle, losing some of the little side little trials, but we are winning the battle, and we just have to keep it up. And Kevin, with you and others out there who are really telling the truth, we are blessed to be in Idaho, and we need to keep Idaho safe. We need to keep our kids protected. We need to make sure that we don't get gun control here, because gun control, all it does is make you and I victims if we follow their little laws they want to do in taking our guns away. So we need to stay fired up. We love you. We appreciate the opportunity to be on the air. We appreciate the opportunity of living in this wonderful state of Idaho. I was a refugee from California, and they brought me in, and I'm just so happy that I'm here.
Well, we love you, Patriot Ray.
We love you. We love anything good from Ohio that comes out and changes their way of thinking.
Okay.
So have a great day and stay fired up. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Love you too.
God bless.
God bless. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
What's going on today? And we look at Pelosi and Schumer and Obama and Hillary. You talk about collusion, they're all right in the middle of it. And they just don't know when to stop. And they keep pushing forward. So we just look at them. And
to Russian attempts to interfere in our 2016 presidential election. And he submitted his confidential report to me pursuant to department regulations. As I said during my Senate confirmation hearing and since, I'm committed to ensuring the greatest degree possible of transparency concerning the special counsel's investigation consistent with the law. At 11 this morning, I'm going to transmit copies of the public version of the special counsel's report to the chairman and ranking members of the Senate and House Judiciary Committees. The Department of Justice will also make the report available to the American people by posting it on the department's website after it has been delivered to Congress. I'd like to make a few comments today on the report. Before I do that, I want to thank Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein for joining me here today and for his assistance and counsel throughout this process. Rod, as you know, has served at the department for nearly 30 years with dedication and distinction, and it's been a great privilege and pleasure for me to work with him since my confirmation. He had well-deserved plans to step back from public service that were interrupted by my asking him to help in my transition. Rod has been an invaluable partner, and I am grateful that he is willing to help me and has been able to see the special counsel's investigation through to its conclusion. Thanks, Rod. Thank you. Yeah. I'd also like to thank Special Counsel Robert Mueller for his service and the thoroughness of his investigation, particularly his work exposing the nature of Russia's attempts to interfere in our electoral process. As you know, one of the primary purposes of the Special Counsel's investigation was to determine whether President Trump's campaign or any individual associated with it conspired or coordinated with the Russian government to interfere in the 2016 election. Volume 1 of the Special Counsel's report describes the results of that investigation. As you will see, the Special Counsel's report states that his, quote, investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. I am sure that all Americans share my concern about the efforts of the Russian government to interfere in our presidential election. As the Special Counsel report makes clear, the Russian government sought to interfere in our election process. But thanks to the Special Counsel's thorough investigation, we now know that the Russian operatives who perpetrated these schemes did not have the cooperation of President Trump or the Trump campaign, or the knowing assistance of any other American for that matter. That is something that all Americans can and should be grateful to have confirmed. The Special Counsel report outlines two main efforts by the Russian government to influence the 2016 election. First, the report details efforts by the Internet Research Agency, a Russian company with close ties to the Russian government, to sow social discord among American voters through disinformation and social media operations. Following a thorough investigation of this disinformation campaign, the Special Counsel brought charges in federal court against several Russian nationals and entities for their respective roles in this scheme. Those charges remain pending, and the individual defendants remain at large. But the Special Counsel found no evidence that any American, including anyone associated with the Trump campaign, conspired or coordinated with the Russian government or the IRA in this illegal scheme. Indeed, as the report states, quote, the investigation did not identify evidence that any U.S. person knowingly or intentionally coordinated with the IRA's interference operation, unquote. Put another way, the Special Counsel found no collusion by any Americans in IRA's illegal activities. Second, the report details efforts by the Russian military officials associated with the GRU, the Russian Military Intelligence Organization, to hack into computers and steal documents and emails from individuals associated with the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton's campaign for the purpose of eventually publicizing these documents. Obtaining such unauthorized access into computers is a federal crime. Following a thorough investigation,
and you're listening
of
to
these
live
hacking
coverage of Attorney General Barr on KIDO Talk Radio. A little microphone slip up, but no Russian collusion. The president is innocent. More on this coming up. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Again, William Barr, the Attorney General, speaking about the Mueller report. He's releasing it now to the American public.
But again, the special counsel's report did not find any evidence that members of the Trump campaign or anyone associated with the campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in these hacking operations. In other words, there was no evidence of the Trump campaign collusion with the Russian government's hacking. The special counsel's investigation also examined Russian efforts to publish stolen emails and documents on the Internet. The special counsel found that after the GRU disseminated some of the stolen documents to entities that it controlled, DC Leaks and Guccifer 2, the GRU transferred some of the stolen materials to WikiLeaks for publication. WikiLeaks then made a series of document dumps. The special counsel also investigated whether any member or affiliate of the Trump campaign encouraged or otherwise played a role in these dissemination efforts. Under applicable law, publication of these types of material would not be criminal unless the publisher also participated in the underlying hacking conspiracy. Here, too, the special counsel's report did not find that any person associated with the Trump campaign illegally participated in the dissemination of the materials. Finally, the special counsel investigated a number of links or contacts between the Trump campaign officials and individuals connected with the Russian government during the 2016 presidential campaign. After reviewing these contacts, the special counsel did not find any conspiracy to violate U.S. law involving Russian-linked persons and any persons associated with the Trump campaign. So that's the bottom line. After nearly 2 years of investigation, thousands of subpoenas, hundreds of warrants, and witness interviews, the special counsel confirmed that the Russian government sponsored efforts to illegally interfere with the 2016 presidential election, but did not find that the Trump campaign or other Americans colluded in those efforts. After finding no underlying collusion with Russia, the special counsel's report goes on to consider whether certain actions of the president could amount to obstruction of the special counsel's investigation. As I addressed in my March 24th letter, the special counsel did not make a traditional prosecutorial judgment regarding this allegation. Instead, the report recounts 10 episodes involving the president and discusses potential legal theories for connecting those activities to the elements of an obstruction offense. After carefully reviewing the facts and legal theories outlined in the report, and in consultation with the Office of Legal Counsel and other department lawyers, the Deputy Attorney General and I concluded that the evidence developed by the special counsel is not sufficient to establish that the president committed an obstruction of justice offense. Although the Deputy Attorney General and I disagreed with some of the special counsel's legal theories and felt that some of the episodes examined did not amount to obstruction as a matter of law, we did not rely solely on that in making our decision. Instead, we accepted the special counsel's legal framework for purposes of our analysis and evaluated the evidence as presented by the special counsel in reaching our conclusions. In assessing the president's actions discussed in the report, it is important to bear in mind the context. President Trump faced an unprecedented situation. As he entered into office and sought to perform his responsibilities as president, federal agents and prosecutors were scrutinizing his conduct before and after taking office and the conduct of some of his associates. At the same time, there was relentless speculation in the news media about the president's personal culpability. Yet, as he said from the beginning, there was in fact no collusion. And as the special counsel's report acknowledges, there is substantial evidence to show that the president was frustrated and angered by his sincere belief that the investigation was undermining his presidency, propelled by his political opponents, and fueled by illegal leaks. Nonetheless, the White House fully cooperated with the special counsel's investigation, providing unfettered access to campaign and White House documents, directing senior aides to testify freely, and asserting no privilege claims. And at the same time, the president took no act that in fact deprived the special counsel of the documents and witnesses necessary to complete his investigation. Apart from whether the acts were obstructive, this evidence of non-corrupt motives weighs heavily against any allegation that the president had a corrupt intent to obstruct the investigation. Now, before I take questions, I want to address a few aspects of the process for producing the public report that I am releasing today. As I said several times, the report contains limited redactions related to 4 categories of information. To ensure as much transparency as possible, those redactions have been clearly labeled so that the readers can tell which redactions correspond to which categories. Now, to recall, those categories are 6E material, grand jury material, information that the IC believes would disclose sources and methods.
And there you're listening to Attorney General William Barr on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. No collusion. And you hear the Attorney General saying the president, when he was a candidate, was under extraordinary circumstances being investigated by our own government, even though he was not colluding with the Russians. Total exoneration. Back to Attorney General Barr.
Harm to ongoing matters and to comply with court orders prohibiting the public disclosure of information bearing on ongoing investigations and criminal cases, such as the IRA case and the Roger Stone case. These redactions were applied by Department of Justice attorneys working closely together with attorneys from the special counsel's office, as well as the intelligence community, and prosecutors are handling the ongoing cases. The redactions are their work product. No redactions done by anybody outside this group. There were no redactions done by anybody outside this group. No one outside this group proposed any redactions, and no one outside the department has seen the unredacted report, with the exception of certain sections that were made available to IC, the intelligence community, for their advice on protecting intelligence sources and methods. Consistent with longstanding executive branch practice, the decision whether to assert executive privilege over any portion of the report rested with the President of the United States. Because the White House had voluntarily cooperated with the special counsel, significant portions of the report contained material over which the President could have asserted privilege, and he would have been well within his rights to do so. Following my March 29th letter, the Office of the White House Counsel requested the opportunity to review the redacted version of the report in order to advise the President on the potential invocation of privilege, which is consistent with longstanding practice. Following that review, the President confirmed that in the interest of transparency and full disclosure to the American people, he would not assert privilege over the special counsel's report. Accordingly, the public report I am releasing today contains redactions only for the 4 categories that I previously outlined, and no material has been redacted based on executive privilege. In addition, earlier this week, the President's personal counsel requested and was given the opportunity to read a final version of the redacted report before it was publicly released. That request was consistent with the practice followed under the Ethics in Government Act, which permitted individuals named in a report prepared by an independent counsel the opportunity to read the report before publication. The President's personal lawyers were not permitted to make and did not request any redactions. In addition to making the redacted report public, we are also working with Congress to accommodate their legitimate oversight interests with respect to the special counsel's investigation. We have been consulting with Chairman Graham and Chairman Nadler through this process, and we will continue to do so. Given the limited nature of the redactions, I believe that the publicly released report will allow every American to understand the results of the special counsel's investigation. Nevertheless, in an effort to accommodate congressional requests, we will make available, subject to appropriate safeguards, to a bipartisan group of leaders from several congressional committees, a version of the report with all redactions removed, except those relating to grand jury information. Thus, these members of Congress will be able to see all of the redacted material for themselves, with the limited exception of that which, by law, cannot be shared. I believe that this accommodation, together with my upcoming testimony before the Senate and House Judiciary Committees, will satisfy any need Congress has for information regarding the special counsel's investigation. Once again, I'd like to thank you for being here, and I will now have a few questions.
And by the way, you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. We'll stay with us a little longer on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. You're listening to William Barr saying the president has been exonerated, nothing is hidden, and bring on Congress. Back to Bill Barr, KIDO Talk Radio.
On not indicting a sitting president, and you say you disagreed with some of his legal theories. What did you disagree with him on?
I'd leave it to his description in the report, the special counsel's own articulation of why he did not want to make a determination as to whether or not there was an obstruction offense. But I will say that when we met with him, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein and I met with him, along with Ed O'Callaghan, who is the principal associate deputy, on March 5th, we specifically asked him about the OLC opinion and whether or not he was taking the position that he would have found a crime but for the existence of the OLC opinion. And he made it very clear several times that that was not his position. He was not saying that but for the OLC opinion he would have found a crime. He made it clear that he had not made the determination that there was a crime.
Did you disagree with him on?
May I follow up on that, Mr. Attorney General?
What did you disagree with him on?
Given that, why did you and Mr. Rosenstein feel the need you had to take it to the next step to conclude that there was no crime, especially given that DOJ policy?
Well, the very prosecutorial function and all our powers as prosecutors, including the power to convene grand juries and the compulsory process that's involved there, is for one purpose and one purpose only. It's determine yes or no. Was alleged conduct criminal or not criminal? That is our responsibility, and that's why we have the tools we have. And we don't go through this process just to collect information and throw it out to the public. We collect this information, we use that compulsory process for the purpose of making that decision. And because the special counsel did not make that decision, we felt the department had to, and that was a decision by me and the Deputy Attorney General.
Yes. Or did the special counsel indicate that he wanted you to make the decision or that it should be left for Congress? And also, how do you respond to criticism you're receiving from congressional Democrats that you're acting more as an attorney for the president rather than as the chief law enforcement officer?
Well, Special Counsel Mueller did not indicate that his purpose was to leave the decision to Congress. I hope that was not his view, since we don't convene grand juries and conduct criminal investigations for that purpose. He did not. I didn't talk to him directly about the fact that we were making the decision, but I am told that his reaction to that was that it was my prerogative as Attorney General to make that decision.
Attorney General Barr, Catherine Herridge, Fox News. Hi there. Is there anything you can share today about your review of the genesis of the Russia investigation and whether assets have been provided to investigate?
No, today I'm really focused just on the process of releasing this report.
Attorney General, senior Democrats in Congress have asked for Robert Mueller himself to testify. Robert Mueller remains a Justice Department employee as of this moment. Will you permit him to testify publicly to Congress?
I have no objection to Bob Mueller personally testifying.
And there we have it. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Much more of Attorney General Barr and your reaction next. 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Thank you, Sean. To quote the president, game over. More on that in a minute. KIDO Talk Radio, traffic and weather together. Good morning, Dave. And coming up next, your reaction to William Barr saying the president didn't do it. The Mueller report backs it up. Phony, fake, collusion, delusion next with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Stay with us.